Good morning, everybody. So happy to see all of you here today. We are starting this series on love and respect. And last week, it's the difference between husbands and wives. And last week I mentioned that, Darlene really reads all these Harlequin stuff. And I got corrected that there's a big difference between Harlequin and Hallmark. And I didn't know, but I guess, yeah. So Darlene wanted to make sure that I knew the difference. And so now I do. So anyways, one guy was once asked, what's your wife's favorite flower? And he said, I think it's Pillsbury, isn't it? Yeah. And ladies, for all you ladies who don't want Alexa listening into your conversations, I got good news. They're making a male version. It won't listen to anything. And did you hear about the dentist that married the manicurist? Oh, they fought tooth and nail. And his wife went to her husband and said, could you please get rid of that annoying noise out of my car? And so he removed the Taylor Swift. Oh, my gosh. All right. And then I was talking to Carrie Carson, and she said, my husband thinks he's so smart. He told me that the only food that can make you cry is an onion. So I threw a coconut at his face. All right. So one of the things I mentioned right off the bat is that even though we're doing this 6-week series on marriages, it doesn't mean that if you're not married, if you're single, or if you've been divorced, that it doesn't apply to you, because you come here for information, you come here for knowledge, and then that knowledge can then be handed off to other people. So maybe you're single here today, maybe you're divorced here today, and you're like, I don't know why I'm here. You're here to gain knowledge, because who knows if this week you won't run into somebody that's going through a marriage crisis, and you might be able to share a couple of things with them. Not only that, but I wanted to mention that there is no shame in being single. We looked at last week where Paul said those who are single have more time to give to the things of the Lord. And then this scripture in Colossians chapter 2, verse 10 says, in him, in Jesus, you have been made complete. So, don't feel like I'm an incomplete person because I'm single. No, that's not true at all. In Jesus, you are complete, and he has his hands on you, and he will use you. So we've been talking about the crazy cycle between male and female, and the miscommunication that happens and how that starts, things that shouldn't start. We use as a foundational scripture, Ephesians 5:33, that says this, nevertheless, each individual among you is to love his own wife even as himself, and the wife must see to it that she respects the husband. And so we talked about how nowhere in scripture does the scriptures command a woman to love her husband. It does say that she is to respect him and submit to him, this kind of stuff. But it does tell the husband again and again and again that you are to love your wives. And so there's two different things happening here. There's love and respect, and they're very different. Recently, there was a movie that came out called Cinderella Man. And in that movie, Russell Crowe played the part of Jim Braddock. Jim Braddock was a professional fighter that was way past his time in his career, but his family was struggling, and he thought, I'm going to go back into boxing, even though he was past that time. I'm going to go back into boxing. There's a scene in the movie where he turns to his wife and he says, I need to know that you stand with me in this. And so there's that respect thing. Husbands need to know that wives believe in them, that wives got their back, that they're supportive, that they're behind them all the way. But we're going to be talking today specifically to guys. We're going to be talking about what does it mean when the scripture says, love your wife? What does that look like, and what does that mean? Because there's a big, big, big difference. One guy went to his wife and he says, you speak 30,000 words to my 15,000 words. And she said, that's because I got to repeat everything. And he said, what? So things happen, right? And that's how the crazy cycle begins. One guy actually missed his 25th anniversary, and his wife told him, she goes, hey, Buster, tomorrow in that driveway, there better be something that goes from 0 to 200 in 10 seconds. And the next day she went out, there was a small package. She opened it up, and there was a bathroom scale. His funeral was that following week. So how do we spell love to our wives? And we're going to be using the word couple, C-O-U-P-L-E, and as an acronym. And so we're only going to get to the C-O-U today to talk about how do you really love your wives? So the first one is the C, which stands for closeness. We talked about that wives need to feel connected, and they feel connected through feeling like there's a shared partnership, like they have access to you, like through conversation. Wives, men feel connected through the act of sexual intimacy. So we're very different right there, wouldn't you say? And so we want to understand those differences. And so when we talk about closeness, we go back to the scriptures in Genesis 2:24, and it says, "For this reason, a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and they shall become one flesh." So it doesn't command the wife to be joined to her husband. It does command the husband to be joined to his wife, because wives naturally and automatically want to be joined and connected. But guys, we almost have to be commanded, right? Like God is saying, be joined to your wife, right? Understand who she is, be close to her, because the wife needs to do that. It is a bonding that takes place. It's so important that in Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 5, it says this: "When a man takes a new wife, he shall not go out with the army, nor be charged with any duty. He shall be free at home 1 year and shall give happiness to the wife from whom he has taken." So the ancient Israelites, through God's command, knew that that first year of marriage was so important because it sets the tone for however many years it lasts, that they were allowed to stay home from all of their duties. When I married Darlene, I was working for my dad at the time, and I floated that verse by him. He wasn't buying it, not one little bit. So things have changed, right? But so that's why, like, when you come home after a day's work, she wants to connect with you. And the way she does that is through verbalization. We talked last week how, the right side of the brain, women right side, men left side, and it's really all interconnected. And a lot of it goes through the speech centers. Like, this is just neurology, right? Like, follow the science. This is neurology. Guys do not have that same kind of neurological wiring, but women do. Like, from their memory to the speech center, to emotions, to the speech center. It's like everything's run through the speech center. So she comes and she wants to feel close to you. And usually that's going to be through sharing, through talking. And ladies, like guys, usually we're not that verbal, right? We're not like that. So there's a difference in how do we get rid of that crazy cycle. But here's the thing. If she feels like she's not allowed to get close to you, then she's going to probably react in an unrespecting way. And that's what we need, right? So love and respect. No love, no respect. No respect, no love. And so we need to understand that we have something that we need to give to the other person that isn't natural to us if we want to receive from the other person what we need. We mentioned last week that marriages are built on need. The reason we get married is because we have needs. And if those needs don't get met, then things start going downhill. And there's been a couple of times, as a pastor, I've dealt with so many marriages in crisis. And there's been a couple of times where, that I can think of specifically, a couple of times where this was the scenario. The wife or the female in the relationship was feeling that she wasn't connected, that he was isolated and they weren't connecting. And guys, you need to hear me. Women have a switch that when they try and it doesn't happen, and they try and it doesn't happen, and they try and it doesn't happen, when that switch gets flipped, you're in serious trouble. And it's usually not until that switch is flipped that then they decide to come and see me. And she's sitting there like this. She's basically already made her mind. She's had it up to here. She feels like she's married to a dead log, and now all of a sudden he's starting to get jittery and like, what do I have to do to fix this? I'll do anything to fix this. And there's been times where I look right at the guy and I'll tell him, you have got a beautiful woman here. You've got a very loving wife here, and you better understand that this is a 911 call. If you don't get your crap together, I guarantee you she's going to be out of here. And we mentioned this last week, that most divorces are initiated by women because that switch gets flipped, and that's it. Then it's all done. So we want to understand how do we meet those needs to each other, and it's tricky, isn't it? Because we're so different. And so we look at a situation in Scripture of Jacob, and Jacob had 2 wives, and you're going to see why God does not favor polygamy, because these women are fighting who can have the most children, but it isn't about the children. It's about who's going to win over the heart of Jacob. And so we go to Genesis 29, and this is talking about Leah, because Jacob has 2 wives. He has Leah and he has Rachel. Rachel he loved, but he got Leah first because that his father-in-law kind of, got him on that one. And so this is Leah in Genesis 29, verse 34. She conceived again and bore a son, and she said, now this time my husband will become attached to me. Look at the words that scriptures are using. My husband is going to become attached to me because I have borne him 3 sons. But it's not about the sons, it's about the attachment that she wants, right? Genesis 30, verse 20. Then Leah said, God has endowed me with a good gift. Now my husband will dwell with me because I've borne him 6 sons. And so, man, she's like a factory, right? But it's for the look what the word she's using. I want to be attached to him. I want to be able to dwell with him. There's this connectivity. And then we look at Song of Solomon, which is the love story in the Bible. This is a story of a bridegroom and his bride. In chapter 3, verse 4, scarcely had I left him when I found him whom my soul loves. I held on to him and I wouldn't let go. And so here, look at what the words that the scriptures are using. This is the woman's role. She's holding on to him and I'm not going to let him go. She needs that attachment. She needs that connection. She needs to feel like she's part of the team. She needs to feel like you are letting her into your world. She needs that, guys. She absolutely needs that. In chapter 2, verse 6, his left hand will be under my head. His right hand will embrace me. It's one of the most sensuous verses in the whole Bible. But look at how she's describing it, is he's embracing me. This is what their heart longs for, right? And then chapter 8, verse 5, who is this coming up from the wilderness, leaning on her beloved? She's like leaning on him. There's this need to be connected. Now, you might say, well, gee, it's really weird, Pastor, because like 3 weeks ago, we went on a date, we went to the movies. And then 2 weeks ago, we went to dinner with another couple. And then last week, we went to a party. And now this week, she's telling me she needs time with me. And it's like, yeah, because all those other times were with other people and not just you. She needs alone time with you to feel that connectivity. She needs to feel connected. She needs to feel like she's part of the team. She's called to be a helpmeet. You're a helper. She can't help if she's not part of the team, right? People that are on the bench are not helping the team necessarily. And so this is a need that's there. And so she's energized by this connectivity. I was sharing in first service, like Darlene, I always hold her hand. Whenever we're out in public, like yesterday, just yesterday, we were out downtown Derry, and I always hold her hand, walk down the road, because I'm just scared to death as soon as I let go, she's going to start shopping. But if you look at the difference between little girls and little boys, right? A little girl has a tea party and she gets all her stuffed animals and she puts them on the chairs and she's got the little cups and the little saucers and she's got the water and she's little Mr. Bun Bun. Is this just right for you? Do you like this? And then, little piggy, do you enjoy your food? Do you enjoy? And she goes around and she's making eye contact with all her stuffed animals and being so social and connected. And then you look at the little boy. He's got his T-Rex that's ripping the head off of the teddy bear, throwing it across the room. Then he puts Bun Bun in a car, launches it down the stairs, boom, 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 fatality in the hallway, and he's like, they're totally different, right? Totally different. And yet we have to learn how to come together and become one flesh. And, men are more independent because men leave the father and mother, and sometimes men need space. So ladies, when they need space, don't read into that they're being distant. Like sometimes there's just space that's needed, right? And when we look at intimacy, and you've probably heard that, like in intimacy, women are like a crock pot. They simmer. They need that time. They need to feel emotionally bonded with you, and then they're going to open with you. And guys are like microwaves. Guys are sight-oriented. They just see something, and that's why Victoria has a secret, right? They just see something, and they're good. The motor's on. They're good to go. That's all they need. And so there's a difference, right? After intimacy, the wife likes to simmer and cuddle and snuggle, and the guy's like, it's just a different thing entirely. My goodness, we need to look at these things and face these things. So like sometimes guys, when you think she's upset, or she might even say she is, maybe what she's saying is just, I need you. Like maybe she's just getting upset to get your attention. Because really what she's saying is, I need you. I need to spend some time with you. I need to connect with you. There was one couple, they went out to a restaurant and the wife's looking at this other table and there's a young couple there and they're not sitting across the table. They're sitting side by side and he's nuzzling her neck and they're kissing and they're sharing food and they're giggling and they're laughing. And she looks at her husband and she goes, why don't you do that? And he goes, well, I'll try, but I don't even know her. I mean, come on. So So we need to be close. We need to allow closeness, right? Okay, so we move to the O, and O stands for openness. Wives love for us to be open. And guys, we live in that shell, we don't want to be open. And listen, women have intuition, right brain, right creativity, intuition, like they have like almost ESP. It's scary. When I was working for my dad had this old World War II military desk, a gray metal desk, 3 drawers on this side, 4 drawers on that side, a drawer in the middle. And so I'd go to work and I love Funny Bones. And so I had my own little stash. I had my box of Funny Bones in the 3rd drawer down on this side. And it was like my stash. My dad didn't even know it was there. Darlene comes to visit me. She sits behind the desk. Hey, how's it going? I'm going great. She opens that 3rd drawer and, oh, look at you got Funny Bones. I didn't like that. There's 8 drawers there. There's 8. And she just opens that drawer it reminded me of my mom. When I was like 14 years old, my mom was downstairs doing the dishes. I'm upstairs, standing in the bathtub, leaning out the bathroom window, smoking a cigarette. When I'm done, I do the toothpaste thing, the cologne thing, I go back, I'm in the living room, my mom's in the kitchen. It's like from here to that wall. And like The Exorcist, her head just turns around, what were you doing? And I'm like already freaked out. I'm like, this ESP thing's driving me crazy. I figure I'm going to one-up her. I'm going to use reverse psychology. I'm saying, oh, Mom, I was upstairs smoking. She goes, yes, you were, weren't you? I hate that. There's just something about women that can be very, very intuitive and read people. And it's freaky. It's not even normal. So we just want to understand that there's a big difference in what's going on here. So we want to be open with our spouses. Colossians chapter 3, verse 19. Again, here it's saying, husband, love your wives. This is 2 other verses now. Husbands, love your wives. Do not be embittered against them. And guys, I just need to ask you, no hands on, but are you secretly mad at your wife? Because sometimes we can build up this anger thing where we're steaming. We just don't show it, like poker face. We're all about the poker face, but we're steaming inside. We're really resentful. And we need to deal with that. Because we don't want to come home from work mad because they internalize this stuff. We don't, but they internalize this stuff. And she's trying to figure you out. So don't take stuff home from work. Don't take childhood problems and lay them on her or anything like that, right? But she does want to talk. She wants to know what's going on in your world. And it doesn't mean that you have to solve it. Because again, remember, guys are problem solvers. We live to solve problems. And women just want to talk. And sometimes when they talk, we feel like, what do I got to solve this time? And a lot of times we feel like it's me. Okay, it's me. I got to change me or else she's not going to be happy. But listen, you don't have to do that. You can just identify with what she's going through. There is a difference between a woman cold and a man cold. Like if you've given birth, a man cold is probably right about that same pain level for a guy. And God designed us to grunt and groan. That's how we heal. When we're sick, we'll just go, that's how we're healing that way, right? And then that gets you to make us chicken soup and get us ginger ale and stuff like that. So don't mess that up, guys. We want to keep that going. We really need that. And don't say to her, you're overreacting. Why do you do that? You're so overly sensitive. No, God designed them to be that way. They can't not be the way that God designed them to be. Every strength has a weakness, right? And so it's funny because sometimes in coaching situations, I'll bring 2 chairs on the other side of my desk and I'll have a husband and wife in for coaching. And, we'll be talking about what's going on. And when I talk to the guy, the wife looks at the guy. She's reading the responses and looking at his face and hearing the tone of his voice. But when I talk to the woman, the guy just stares straight at me. He doesn't look at her at all. He doesn't want to see what's going on over there, right? Either that or he looks down and he's saying, thank God he's not talking to me right now, right? So, but it's funny because the woman will look at the guy won't look at the woman. And so and again, it's not like one is right or one is wrong, but it's definitely different and we need to understand that. So the wife says, I'm trying to figure him out and I can't figure him out. And so sometimes she's just trying to connect with her feelings, with emotions, trying to connect. Years ago, I went to this thing called the Discovery Seminar. Somebody told me, these things are really cool. Discovery seminars. It's all about self-discovery. And it's like seminars, like a 2-day seminar. You spend the night there, and it's all about self-discovery. Well, one of the exercises is that they divided everybody in the room, and then they would pair you up with like 7 different people over, 10 minutes, and you had to lock eyes for 60 seconds. You had to stare in the other person's eyes for 60 seconds. Now, ladies, this is what happened. The ladies are intuitive, and they're like staring in the eyes like, oh, I think this person's sad. Oh, that's so sad. That breaks my heart that they're sad. And, oh, this person's really happy. They're having a great day. And you know what happens with us guys, ladies? It is so unnatural to stare at another person in the eyes for 60 seconds, especially if it's another dude, right? So you know what happens? I look them in the eyes, they look me in the eyes, and I'm like, sucker, not only am I not going to pull away from looking at you, but I'm not even going to blink. It becomes a competition. That's all it is. It's a competition. You're going down, sucker. I am not losing this one. And that's what happens. Like, we become competitive in that kind of stuff. It's nothing about, I'm not thinking like, oh, I wonder what he's feeling right now. I'm hoping he's going to feel like loser because I'm going to beat him right now. So that's all that matters. And so it's kind of like weird. This is the way things happen, right? So we talked about last week, men are like waffle irons, right? All these little boxes that we go in, these little squares, and women are like spaghetti. Everything is integrated. This is why they can multitask so well. So imagine like if there's a circuit panel with 1,000 circuits, each circuit is by a little red light, and there's 1,000. And ladies, you can literally come at us and you can disconnect 950 of those red lights right out, and we're okay because we got 50 left. And we'll go in there and we'll be content. But guys, you turn one out and the whole panel goes out. Boom. And then she's like, not tonight, buddy. Right? Because and here's the amazing thing. This wonderful creation of God, that 90% of their brain goes through their speech center, goes silent. And that's when you know, uh-oh. They've gone silent. They're giving you the silent treatment. And it's like, what do you do now? Like this ends up in a big fight. And we think, well, she's quiet, like she's getting over it. Oh, no. She's quiet, but she's going back into the memory and pulling out all the big guns. You did this, you did that. Do you remember back in 1992 at so-and-so's wedding when you said that? You're like, 1990, I don't even remember yesterday. Right? And so all the stuff starts coming out, right? Like this one guy, they got in a big fight. She did the silent treatment. He did the silent treatment. But he had to catch a flight the next day. So he left her a note, wake me up at 5 a.m. The next day he wakes up at 9 a.m. He's missed his flight. He's missed everything. He's like, what? And he looks on his dresser and there's a note. It's 5 a.m. Wake up. Oh yeah. They know how to fight. They know how to fight well. But she keeps the relationship going, wanting to talk on a daily basis. And for guys, it means like just we think there's a problem that needs to be solved. And sometimes we shrink back. When we shrink back, they feel disconnected and they come at us. And like literally, I remember one guy who was like, she followed me in every room in the house, like talking, like I couldn't get away from her because she's trying to connect, right? She needs that. You might think you're an island, but she's coming ashore. I mean, it's going to happen, right? So she's going to start asking all kinds of questions and you need to just allow her to connect. Sometimes we think she's just trying to change me. She just wants to connect. She'll change you later. I mean, she just wants to connect. Oh my goodness. But here's the thing, being open to your spouse helps her open to you sexually. And that's so important. That is very, very important. And she just needs to know that she matters to you. So the U stands for understanding. And we're going to look at this verse. We looked at it last week, 1 Peter 3:7. You husbands likewise live with your wives in an understanding way, as with a weaker vessel, since she is a woman, and grant her honor as a fellow heir of the grace of life, so that your prayers may not be hindered. And so, listen, sometimes I hear guys say, like, I just don't understand her. Like, I don't understand her. Like, I just don't understand her. You probably never will, but you need to live with her in an understanding way. You need to understand that you'll never understand. Like, you just need to understand. You're never going to understand, right? So live with her in an understanding way. Like the guy's saying, like, I don't understand how she can put how she can put wax on the upper region of her legs and pull the hair out by the roots, and yet she's scared of a little spider. Like, I don't understand that. How does that even work? It's like, you're never going to understand it totally, but you still, and it's not that one's right or one's wrong. It's just different. Again, it's not about right or wrong. It's different. And Peter says, understand a weaker vessel. We talked about that last week. It's like the difference between a tin cup and a crystal goblet, a crystal glass. Like, the crystal glass is a lot more, it's weaker, it's fragile. We don't want to break it, but it's more valuable, it's more precious. And so we treat them like they're the most precious things, they're the most valuable things that we could ever have. And we need to put value into our wives. Otherwise, they start to depreciate in our own understanding. And so, some guys say, well, I don't understand why she's always overreacting. I'm not going to give her any love until she can start, showing me respect. And she can't show you respect until she feels like she matters to you. She's called to be a helpmeet. And if she feels like you don't want her help, then she's not going to give you that respect because she doesn't feel like she matters to the relationship. Like, this is a teen thing that's going on. So we have to break the crazy cycle. No respect, no love, no respect. And they might be different from our own needs, but we have to love unconditionally in the other way. Like, one guy looked at his wife and he goes, honestly, I don't understand how you can be so beautiful and so stupid at the same time. And she looked at him and she says, well, I'm beautiful, so you'd be attracted to me. And I'm stupid, so I'd be attracted to you. So that's the crazy cycle, right? That's not going to go well. So guys, like, she's not necessarily coming to you for solutions. Again, men are analytical, women are verbalizing. Men think a problem through until they solve it. And ladies, you need to listen to this. Because if a guy can't solve a problem, he will go to another guy for different ideas, but never to talk about it. Now, some ladies are like, what? Like, I got a vibration in my truck and I can't figure it out. And so I was talking to Steve Black. I says, I get this vibration in my truck. And he goes, well, have you changed a UV joint? I said, I've had a UV joint change. And he goes, yeah, but there's 2 other UV joints and there's a carrier bearing. Come over to my house and let's change those. I'm like, okay. But he never asked me, like, well, how does that make you feel when your truck starts shaking? Right? Like we never talked about that. Like, we don't talk about that kind of stuff. Oh, we just want to solve those problems. And guys, you need to understand that women verbalize just to vent. They literally sometimes don't understand their emotions, and by talking about it, they can identify there's a stress there, but they don't know where it's coming from. There's an emotion that's bringing stress, and they can identify that. So listen, don't feel attacked just because they want to be close to you. So men, we communicate just to exchange information. That we just exchange information. Women communicate to connect on an emotional level, right? Women want to talk. The guy's like, what about? Women say nothing, just don't want to talk, right? Like us, it's got to be a topic. I got to know what box to go into. She'll share about her day and then she'll wait to see if you move towards her. If not, she's going to come to you with more questions, and it's just building rapport, right? So it's like my hiking buddy Dave. Like Dave can text me and say like, I fell hiking today. And I'll tell Darlene, oh, wow, Dave fell hiking. And she'll be, is he okay? Like, what happened? Did he get hurt? Is he bleeding? I don't know. It just said that he fell today. Well, what happened? Did he slip on a rock? Did he trip on a root? Did he fall forward? Did he fall backwards? I don't know. It just says that he fell today. Does Karen know? Poor Karen. What's she going through? What is Karen? I don't know. He just fell. He just fell today. Was he alone? Oh, my goodness. What if he was alone? What was he? I don't know. The text just says he fell today. See, that's all I know. That's all. She wants more and more information. She wants to wrap her mind around the whole thing. How's Karen? Is he hurt? Blah, blah. It's like, and I don't care. He fell. Yeah. Maybe he got hurt. That's him. But she's integrated, right? And there's that emotional stress, and she's trying to identify it. And talking helps her realize her feelings. Men, we stuff everything in the cognitive. We stuff everything in the cognitive. That's right where it goes. Women can't do that. Women can't do that. Like, there's too much emotion. They can't just stuff it in the cognitive. That's not the way they're wired. It's not one's wrong or one's right. It's just different. Don't try to figure it out. Just know that it brings healing to her soul to be able to talk with you. They just want to talk with you. For crying out loud, you married them. Just talk with them. Don't try to figure it out. It's their emotional makeup. It's their emotional makeup. And you know what? Like ladies, listen to me right now. Like, he's trying to figure out your emotional makeup and struggling. And you're trying to figure out his sex drive and struggling. And we'll get to that at another time, right? But I mean, so there's differences, and not one right, one's wrong. It's just different. But they do need access to you, right? And ladies, don't bring up too much at once. Like, this is one conversation with a wife with her husband. There was a fire drill at school, and it was a disaster. And Bobby didn't have his coat. And her husband says, a fire? And she says, no, a cold. I had to take him to Dr. Green. You know, the guy who's getting a divorce. You know, I dated his brother in high school. He's in construction. The doctor? No, his brother. He built that shopping mall in the town next to us. We have to go there sometime. By the way, we need to go pick up my dress from the cleaners. In the next town? No, at the mall. Remember, we have to be ready at 6. For the doctors? No, that party at Betty's house. Oh, and by the way, the pain in my back went away. Did you send our payment in for the phone? And he says, what about the fire? There's been times where I've been in a conversation with Darlene, we're talking about party A, and then sometimes I'm like, there's something about this conversation isn't feeling right anymore, because she shifted gears on me without knowing, put her blinker on and took a right turn. She's talking about party D, and I'm still on A. And it's like, my bad. My bad. I didn't know you could just do that laterally so quick in your brain, right? Like, you just switched boxes. Like, that takes time for us to switch boxes like that. And boom, it just happened like that. So you know, she's overloaded, and she says, you know, you listen to me, or listen, don't listen, you know, listen to me, and you're not listening. She said, you're not listening to me. And he's like, yeah, you're right. And then she thinks, so you don't care. No, it's not that we don't care. It's just that we're getting overloaded by communication. Like women get saved, women come to Jesus, they read the Bible in a month, and they're in the book of Revelation soaring in the heavens with Jesus. Guys get saved 3 months later, they're still in Genesis trying to figure out how he did it in 6 days. Right? And they're like, where did Cain get his wife? You know, and where did the giants come from? I mean, they're trying to figure out, like Genesis, there's so many questions there. And the guy's analytical, he's got to solve these are problems. Got to solve these problems. A woman doesn't care. Like, she's intimate and in love with Jesus and just going. And then the phone. Ladies, let's talk about when men are on the phone. Because see, when I'm on the phone, I am in my on the phone box in my brain. That's where I am. I'm on the phone in my brain. But I'll be talking to somebody, I'll be talking to Keith, and we'll be talking about something, and he mentions, like, you know, hey, don't forget to get together. Now, Darlene's in the other room ironing, watching a movie on her computer, and will say, oh yeah, that's at 7 o'clock this Saturday, don't forget. Like what is with that deal? Like how do you do that? How are you ironing? Because if I'm ironing, all I'm doing is ironing. Right? Or if I'm watching a movie, all I'm doing is watching a movie. But she's ironing, watching a movie, and listening to my phone conversation. And then butting in, which I get confused because I'm not talking to her, I'm talking to this person. And to start talking to two people at the same time is very confusing. Especially when they're not talking with each other and it's not a full triangle. It's kind of like, yeah, I don't even know who to talk to right now. And so then I get frustrated with her. And then she gets frustrated with me because I'm frustrated at her. And she's feeling disconnected. And I'm feeling like, I just want to kill you. Yes. It's really crazy. It's really, really crazy. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to end with another video. But listen, live with your wives in an understanding way. Like, understand you're totally different. It's not one's right, one's wrong. You're just different.